Hello everyone, and welcome to the Unanswered Questions True Crime Podcast.
I have spent hours and hours investigating this.
He basically told her that people have been killed. Journalists, independent investigators, people like that disappeared. It frightened her to the bone.
There's more to the story than meets the eye.
There were rumors of torture and homicide and sexual abuse, all sorts of egregious, horrendous crimes.
He was polygraphed 3 times. Each of those 3 showed evasions.
His resumes were a skeleton of truth.
He was mad at the world, and particularly mad at the government.
The study that he commissioned had described a fictional terrorist attack.
If people have died over this, it means you're getting close to the truth.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to say, what the fuck?
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of my new podcast, Unanswered Questions, where every week we'll endeavour to discuss a mysterious unsolved case that has many lingering unanswered questions. So I hope you enjoy, and as always, leave me some feedback on what you think about the show and rate it as well. Now on to the show. This week we're talking about the 27 Club. The 27 Club is an informal list consisting mostly of popular musicians, artists, actors and other celebrities who died at age 27. Although the claim of a statistical spike for the death of musicians at that age has been refuted by scientific research, it remains a cultural phenomenon, with many celebrities who died at age 27 noted for their high-risk lifestyles. Now we come to the cultural phenomenon. Beginning with the deaths of several 27-year-old popular musicians between 1969 and 1971, such as Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, dying at the age of 27 came to be, and remains, a perennial subject of popular culture, celebrity journalism, and entertainment industry lore. This cultural phenomenon, which came to be known as the 27 Club, attributes special significance to popular musicians, artists, actors, and other celebrities who die at age 27, often as a result of drug and alcohol abuse or violent means such as homicide, suicide, or transportation-related accidents. The cultural phenomenon gave rise to an urban myth that celebrity deaths are more common at 27, a claim that has been refuted by statistical research such as discussed in the #scientific studies section. Now we get to the history behind this. Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison all died at the age of 27 between 1969 and 1971. At the time, the coincidence gave rise to some comment, but according to Hendrix and Kurt Cobain's biographer Charles R. Cross, quote, "It wasn't until Kurt Cobain took his own life in 1994 that the idea of the 27 Club arrived in the popular zeitgeist." End quote. I will do a episode on Kurt Cobain's death in another episode of this podcast. Cross claims that the launch of the club concept can be traced to the growing influence of the internet and sensational celebrity journalism on popular culture in the years following Cobain's death, as well as media interpretations of a statement by Cobain's mother, Wendy Frandenberg, Cobain O'Connor, quoted in the local Aberdeen, Washington newspaper, The Daily World, and subsequently carried worldwide by the Associated Press. Quote, "Now he's gone and joined that stupid club. I told him not to join that stupid club." End quote. R. Gary Patterson, chronicler of rock music urban myth, agreed with the interpretations of Cross and some contemporary journalists that Cobain's mother was referring to Hendrix, Joplin and Morrison. Others linked her quote to then recent heroin-related deaths of fellow young Seattle rock musicians such as Stefani Sargent of 7 Year Bitch and Andrew Wood of Mother Love Bone. On the other hand, Eric Seglast, author of the 27's The Greatest Myth of Rock and Roll, claimed that she was referring to the death of Cobain's 2 uncles and his great-uncle, all of whom had committed suicide. Cross himself dismissed the absurd notion that Kurt Cobain intentionally timed his death so that he could join the 27 Club, noting that Cobain had nearly died from drug overdoses on at least 24 occasions in the year before his death alone, and had made several previous suicide attempts at various ages. In 2011, 17 years after Cobain's death, Amy Winehouse died at the age of 27, prompting a renewed swell of media attention devoted to the 27 Club. 3 years earlier, Winehouse's personal assistant, Alex Haynes, told the British press that Winehouse, then 25, feared she would join Jim Morrison, Brian Jones and Kurt Cobain in dying at 27. Quote, "She reckons she would join the 27 Club of rock stars who died at that age. She told me, I have a feeling I'm gonna die young." End quote. Now we get into the scientific studies. Despite the cultural significance given to musician and celebrity deaths at age 27, the common claim that they are statistically more common at this age is an urban myth, refuted by scientific research. A study by university academics published in the British Medical Journal in December of 2011 concluded that there was no increase in the risks of death for musicians at the age of 27, stating that there were equally small increases at ages 25 and 32. The study noted that young adult musicians have a higher death rate than the general young adult population, surmising that fame may increase the risk of death among musicians, but this risk is not limited to age 27. The selection criteria for the musicians included in the study, based on having scored a UK #1 album between 1956 and 2007, excluded several notable members of the 27 Club, including Hendrix, Joplin, Morrison, Pete Ham, and Ron Pigpen McKernan. A 2014 article at The Conversation suggested that statistical evidence shows popular musicians are most likely to die at the age of 56, 2.2%, compared to 1.3% at 27. Now we come to the white lighter myth. The white lighter curse, or white lighter myth, is an urban legend based on the 27 Club, in which it's claimed several musicians and artists died while in possession of a white disposable cigarette lighter, leading such items to become associated with bad fortune. The myth is primarily based on the deaths of Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and Kurt Cobain. The myth has been integrated with cannabis culture. In 2017, Snopes.com, a very well-known website, published an article discrediting the theory, noting that Bic did not begin producing white disposable lighters until several years after the deaths of members of the 27 Club, including Hendrix, Joplin, and Morrison, and that disposable lighters produced by other companies were not widely available at that time. Now we come to the list of identified members of this club. Because the 27 Club is entirely notational, there is no official membership. The list that I'm about to go into lists individuals explicitly described as members of the 27 Club by journalists and writers in various books and publications. Some deaths linked to the 27 Club predate its emergence as a cultural phenomenon. Blues musician Robert Johnson, who died in 1938, is one of the earliest popular musicians included by various sources. Despite the club's original association with the deaths of popular musicians, later sources began to link actors, artists, athletes, and other celebrities to the 27 Club. Rolling Stone included television actor Jonathan Brandis, who committed suicide in 2003, in a list of 27 Club members. Anton Yelchin, who had played in a punk rock band but was primarily known as a film actor, was also described as a member of the club upon his death in 2016. Likewise, Jean Mitchell Basquiat, who had been linked to the club despite being known primarily as a painter, with his music career being relatively brief and obscure. Now we come to the list of people that are involved in the 27 Club. Robert Johnson, May 8th, 1911 to August 16th of 1938. The American blues legend made the Mississippi Delta style famous, but his premature death near Greenwood, Mississippi remains as mysterious as much of his short life. Jimi Hendrix. James Marshall Hendrix, popular as Jimi Hendrix, was born on November 27th, 1942, and he went on to be the greatest instrumentalist in rock music, according to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He died on September 18th, 1970. How did Jimi Hendrix die? Based on the hospital report, Jimi Hendrix choked on his vomit and died of asphyxiation. He was popular for his solo guitar performances and his songs such as Purple Haze, and playing a standing ovation solo of the national anthem at Woodstock. Gary Thane. Gary Mervyn Thane was born on May 15th of 1948 in Christchurch, New Zealand, and died on December 8th of 1975 in London, United Kingdom. He rose to fame as a rock bassist in New Zealand and also for his work in the band Uriah Heep in Britain. Gary lost his position in Uriah Heep due to drug addiction in 1975, and he died of respiratory failure after overdosing on heroin months later. Brian Jones. Lewis Brian Hopkins Jones, popular as Brian Jones, founded the Rolling Stones. He was born on February 28th of 1942 and died July 3rd of 1969. He was discovered at the bottom of his swimming pool in his Cochford farm home and was pronounced dead by the time he got to the hospital. His death, according to the coroner's report, was caused by drowning, but his heart and liver were already enlarged from drug abuse. Alan Wilson. Alan Blindell Wilson was born on July 4th of 1943 and died on September 3rd of 1970 from a drug overdose or a possible suicide. He was popular as a singer and original composer of Canned Heat. He was a co-founder and leader of the band Canned Heat, where he played guitar and harmonica during the group's performances. Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin was born in January 1943 and died on October 4th of 1970. How did Janis Joplin die? As many rock stars tend to do, very sadly, she died from a drug overdose. Before her death, Janis was among the most successful rock stars of her time and was popular for her electric performances and mezzo-soprano vocals. Some of her most famous songs include Mercedes-Benz and her covers of the songs Piece of My Heart, Down on Me, and Cry Baby. Leslie Harvey. Leslie Cameron Harvey was a famous guitarist playing for the Stone the Crows and was also the sister to the Scottish rock band musician Alex Harvey. She was born on September 13th, 1944 and died on May 3rd of 1972 of electrocution when she touched a microphone that was not correctly earthed. She died from the injuries resulting from the accident. Cecilia. Evangelina Sobredo Galani, popularly known as Cecilia, was a Spanish singer and songwriter who lived between October 11th, 1948 and August 2nd of 1976. She was a member of the musician group Expresión. Throughout her music career, she released 9 singles and 3 LPs. She died after a car accident near Benavente and was buried in the Cementerio de la Almudena. Sorry if I get any of that wrong. Sorry if I mispronounce any of that. Jim Morrison. James Jim Douglas Morrison was born on December 8th of 1943 and died on July 3rd of 1971. He was the lead vocalist of the band The Doors. He had a wild personality and delivered electric performances with his poetic lyrics. Fans of rock considered him the most influential frontman in the history of rock. How did Jim Morrison die? He died of heart failure in a bathtub in his apartment in Paris, but no autopsy was conducted as the French law does not require one. Linda Jones. Linda Jones was born on December 14th of 1944 and died March 14th of 1972 from complications related to diabetes. She was famous for her soulful voice with a gospel music style and produced popular songs such as Hypnotized and What Have I Done to Make You Mad. She died in her mum's house after doing a nationwide tour in support of her album. She may have slipped into a coma or went into an insulin shock while she was sleeping. Ron Pigpen McKernan. Famously known as Pigpen, Ronald Charles McKernan was born on September 8th of 1945 and died on March 8th of 1973. He founded the Grateful Dead band, who he played for between 1965 and 1972. Although he stayed away from drugs, Pigpen was so addicted to alcohol that he suffered severe liver damage and was advised to rest from tours. He died of a gastrointestinal hemorrhage and was buried in Palo Alto. Dave Alexander. David Michael Alexander was born on June 3rd of 1947 and died on February 10th of 1975 of pulmonary edema after suffering from pancreatitis. He was a famous bassist for the band The Stooges with popular songs such as Little Doll, Dirt, and 1970. Before his death, Xander, as he was known, had been fired from The Stooges after showing up for a show too drunk. Amy Winehouse. Amy Jade Winehouse was born on September 14th, 1983 and died on July 23rd of 2011, aged 27, from fatal levels of alcohol in her body. Amy broke 2 Guinness World Records for the most Grammy Awards won by a female artist in a year and the most songs by a woman to appear on the UK singles chart. She was buried in the Edgeworbury Lane Cemetery, and after her death, several musicians released songs to pay tribute to her. Pete Ham. Peter William Ham was a Welsh musician who lived between April 27th of 1947 and April 24th of 1975. He was a lead vocalist and composed songs for the band Badfinger. The band released popular songs such as No Matter What, Baby Blue, and Day After Day. He committed suicide after battling depression from band-related problems. His former bandmate Tom Evans also committed suicide in 1983. Helmut Koehlen, March 2nd of 1950 to May 3rd of 1977, was a German guitarist and bassist who played and sang for the band Triumvirat. He released a solo album in 1976, You Won't See Me Again, which made him popular but was his only album. Helmut died of carbon monoxide poisoning in his car while listening to music. Chris Bell. Christopher Bradford Bell was in the band Big Star, but he also pursued a solo career. He was born on January 12th of 1951 and died on December 27th, 1978 from a car accident when driving home from a band rehearsal. His music and that of Big started gaining popularity in the 1980s after his death. Jacob Miller. Jacob Miller was a Jamaican reggae musician and member of the religion Rastafari. He was born on May 4th of 1952 and died on March 23rd, 1980 in a car accident in Kingston, Jamaica with one of his sons. He was popular for his association with the legendary Bob Marley and the Wailers and for the album Mixed Up Moods, which he recorded just before his death. Pete de Freitas. Peter Louis Vincent de Freitas was born on August 2nd of 1961 and died on June 14th of 1989. He was an English musician who doubled as a producer and drummer for the Echo and the Bunnymen. Pete de Freitas died in a motorcycle accident when riding from London to Liverpool. De Boon. Denise Dale de Boon lived between April 1st of 1958 and December 22nd of 1985. He was popular for his unique guitar style and for composing most of the popular songs by Minutemen, including This Ain't No Picnic and Corona. He died in a van crash in the Arizona desert. Amar Singh Chamkila. Amar Singh Chamkila was assassinated on March 8th of 1988 along with his wife and two members of his band. Born on July 21st, 1960, Chamkila rose to fame after partnering with Surinder Sonia, a famous female vocalist. The Punjabi artist's assassination has never been solved. Alexander Bashlyakov. Alexander Nikolaevich Bashlyakov was a famous poet, singer, songwriter, performer, and guitarist from Russia. He was born on May 7th of 1960 and died on February 17th of 1988 after falling from the window of his apartment on the 9th floor. Although not verified, he may have committed suicide. Lil Marlow. Lil Marlow is one of the 27 Club rappers, most well known for his song 9 plus Z61 equals 15. The up-and-coming Atlanta rapper was found dead in his car at 27 years old in July of 2020. Officials believe it was a drive-by shooting, but this remains an open case with no suspects. Lil Marlow's real name was Rudolph Johnson. Finbar Donnelly. Finbar Donnelly found success as a singer and songwriter at a young age, but that fame was cut short after his death on June 18th of 1989. The Northern Irelander moved to Cork City when he was young and found fame with the band Five Go Down to the Sea as the vocalist. Born on April 25th of 1962, Donnelly drowned in 1989 while swimming in Hyde Park. Chris Austin. Christopher Clay Austin released 3 hot singles after singing with Warner Brothers Records in 1988, including Blues Stay Away From Me and Shame Ol' Love, which he co-wrote with Ricky Skaggs. The country music star was born on February 24th of 1964 and died on March 16th of 1991. He died in an airplane crash in San Diego, California. Mia Zapata. Born on August 25th of 1965, Mia Catherine Zapata was the lead singer in the band The Gits before she was murdered on July 7th of 1993. She was brutally beaten, raped, and then strangled to death when walking home shortly after 2:15 a.m. When working with The Grits, they released their first studio album, Frenching the Bully, which had popular songs such as Another Shot of Whiskey and Here's to Your Fuck. Kurt Cobain. Kurt Donald Cobain was born on February 20th of 1967 and died on April 5th of 1994. Cobain had attempted to commit suicide several times before he successfully shot himself dead. He was famous as the frontman of the rock band Nirvana with famous songs such as Smells Like Teen Spirit. Kristen Pfaff. Born on May 26, 1967, Kristen Marie Pfaff was bassist for the rock band Hole before she died of acute opiate intoxication on June 16th of 1994. Hole released their first internationally acclaimed album, Pretty on the Inside, in 1991. Her time in Seattle made her a moderate addict since everyone was doing it, and that is how she found her death. Ricky Edwards. Born Richard James Ricky Edwards on December 22nd, 1967, Ricky rose to fame after joining the music band Manic Street Preachers, where he was a lyricist and guitarist. He disappeared on February 1st of 1995 and was never seen, and was presumed dead on or a few days after that date. His disappearance was presumed as suicide on the famous suicide site, the Severn Bridge. Kim Jong-hyun, popularly known as Jong-hyun, Kim Jong-hyun was a South Korean singer, songwriter, producer, radio host, and author. He was born on April 8th of 1990 and died on December 18th, 2017 from a possible suicide inside a rented apartment. Before his death, he was with the boy band Shinee in South Korea, where they released 12 albums. Sahara Davenport. Born Antoni Ashley, Sahara Davenport was a drag queen, reality TV personality, singer, and a classic dancer. She was born on December 17th of 1984 and died of heart failure on October 1st of 2012 after battling drug addiction for a long time. During her music career, she released two popular singles, Pump With Me and Go Off. Fredo Santana. Derek Coleman, popularly known as Fredo Santana, lived between July 4th, 1990 and October 31st of 2013. A cousin of the popular Chicago rapper Chief Keef, he was popular for his album Trappin' Ain't Dead, which he released on October 31st of 2013. Santana suffered from a cardiovascular disease and suffered a fatal seizure that led to his death. Rudy Lewis, August 23rd, 1936 to May 20th of 1964. The R&B singer for the Drifters sang lead on such hits as Some Kind of Wonderful, Up on the Roof, and On Broadway. He was found dead in a Harlem hotel room of a suspected drug overdose. Brian Jones, February 28th, 1942 to July 3rd of 1969. The founder and original leader of the Rolling Stones drowned in the swimming pool of his home in East Sussex, England. Janis Joplin, January 19th, 1943 to October 4th of 1970. The blues singer died of a heroin overdose at the Landmark Motor Hotel in Hollywood. Jean Mitchell Basquiat, December 22nd, 1960 to August 12th of 1988. The American graphic artist, famous for graffiti-inspired paintings, died of a heroin overdose in his Manhattan studio. Reggie Lewis, November 21st, 1965 to July 27th, 1993. A small forward for the Boston Celtics, he suffered a sudden heart attack on the court at an off-season practice. Jonathan Brandis, April 13th, 1976 to November 12th of 2003. A child actor best known for the NBC sci-fi series Sequest DSV, committed suicide in his LA apartment building. Pat Tillman, the star safety for the Arizona Cardinals who left the NFL after 9/11 to enlist in the US Army. He died in Afghanistan in a case of friendly fire in the midst of a firefight. I will actually cover the Pat Tillman case. I think it's an extremely controversial case, so I will be covering that in a later podcast episode. Anton Yelchin, March 11, 1989 to June 19th of 2016. The actor best known for playing Pavel Chekhov in the big screen Star Trek reboot, died in a car accident at his LA home. Fredo Santana, July 4th, 1990 to January 19th of 2018. The Chicago rapper Derek Coleman, who rose to fame with his cousin Chief Keef, died in 2018. No cause of death was immediately revealed, but Santana was hospitalized 3 months before with kidney and liver failure. Tyler Skaggs, July 13th, 1991 to July 1st of 2019. The professional pitcher who debuted with the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2012 and later played for the Los Angeles Angels was found unresponsive in his hotel room in South Lake, Texas in July 2019. No foul play was suspected, authorities said. One of the questions that remains is why have so many musicians died at the age of 27? There is no shortage of theories. There are numerologists that feel that 27 is a significant number. There are theories concerning the number of 27 club members that owned white lighters and so on. Many dismiss the 27 death phenomenon as just simply an unexplained coincidence. One factor that is widely noted is that many of the members of Club 27 have lived lifestyles that have contributed to dying at a young age. Of course, this doesn't fully explain why not 26 or 28, but part of the mystique of the 27 mythology is the fact that we don't have clear answers. It is the unexplained nature that helps ensure the Forever 27 club a place in rock and roll folklore. With that, this case remains open, but with many unanswered questions that still remain unanswered. Please rate this show and let me know what you guys think about this and the many other cases I've covered. You can follow me on all major social media platforms, YouTube, BitChute, Dailymotion. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, links are all down below in the description. If you have a case you'd like me to have a look at or cover, don't hesitate to send me a message. I'm your host, and this has been the Unanswered Questions Podcast. Until next time. Next on Unanswered Questions. A military booby trap is designed to kill or injure a person who activates its trigger or employed to reveal the location of an enemy by setting off a signaling device.